Twin Jades of Jiangdong. Chapter 23. Realm. Sun Ce led the troops in a charge into the city, with stern orders that they were not to disturb the citizens. In name, they were protecting the prefect, but in reality, as soon as they saw him, they tied Su Gong up firmly and handed him over to Zhu Ji. Upon seeing that trouble had befallen Su Gong, his subordinates immediately fled in all directions, not daring to approach. Sun Ce specially ordered Zhu Ji to guard Su Gong well, and because no one dared to harm the plates as they were trying to catch the rat, no one dared to step forward. When the sky just started growing bright, over 10,000 people entered the city, felling almost all of Yan Beihu's subordinates and Su Gong's personal guards with arrows tipped with anesthesia. In less than 2 Shishan, Wuxian had been completely pacified. After that, all that remained to the soldiers was the matter of putting out the flames, but it was a pity that much of the blood and sweat of the people that Su Gong had spent many years extorting from the citizens had been burned in those flames. Zhou Yu also used putting out the fire as an excuse to move all of Su Gong's belongings out, laying them out along the main street. That day, who knew how many things the residents of Wuxian stole, but Sun Ce pretended not to see. It wasn't until afternoon that the fires were finally put out, and Su Gong was released and allowed back. Sun Ce sent troops to heavily guard the prefect's manor. Of all the people in the manor, almost all of them had fled, leaving behind only the prefect, his face the color of pig intestines, and his madam. Zhou Yu hadn't slept for the entire night, and he had also swam in bone-piercingly cold water for almost a Shishan. After that, he had also intercepted someone, forged a letter, started the fire, and sprung an ambush. In this moment, he felt that his physical strength was lacking, and it felt as if he was walking on cotton. Sun Ce, however, was very energetic, and without asking anyone, he walked into the manor and took up the responsibility of arranging defenses for the entire city. Zhu Ji stood to one side, while some soldiers went forth to review the account books. There were 12 officials under the Wuxian jurisdiction who had just learned what happened when they woke up that morning, and they all came in to take their orders. Now, Sun Ce had the majority of the troops under his command, and no one dared to speak on behalf of Su Gong. All of them listened obediently. Su Gong, Sun Ce said. You hid the mountain bandit Yan Beihu in your den and almost cost the lives of everyone in the city in the process. Today, I ask you, are you satisfied with this outcome? The color of Su Gong's face was ashen, and he was being forced to kneel at the front of the hall. He nodded incessantly, even as hatred tinged his gaze. If he had known beforehand that Sun Jian and his group were cruel by nature, he would have expected that when his son gained Wu commandery, Sun Ce would not keep him around any longer. Zhou Yu said, the Lord Prefect was also deceived. As of now, since Yan Beihu has already submitted, why not let the Prefect atone for his crimes by serving well? Sun Ce had not expected Zhou Yu to ask for mercy on Su Gong's behalf in such a place, at such a time, and he couldn't help but freeze for a moment. He looked towards Zhou Yu, who indicated with his eyes that he should spare Su Gong's life. Ah well, Sun Ce said. Loosen his ropes. Since they were going to let him off, it would look better for him if he proved his goodwill through actions rather than speech, so after the ropes around Su Gong were untied, he rose and chuckled, hurriedly saying, Lord General Sun, you are very generous. This time, it was this humble one's oversight, but thankfully General, you came in time. Sun Ce thought for a moment. He hadn't expected Su Gong to change his tune so fast, and he couldn't help but find that funny. He wanted to say a few more sentences, but Zhou Yu knew that Sun Ce wanted to make fun of him. Su Gong was an official appointed by the imperial court and could not be humiliated, so Zhou Yu interrupted. Lord Su, please make sure to get some good rest. As for everything else, plans can be made after my family's Zigong reports back to Chang'an. Su Gong had managed to escape with his life intact, and he knew that today, Sun Ce could have chosen any old excuse and killed him. This meant that he was being magnanimous, so he hurriedly bowed and thanked him, before taking his leave. The subordinates then brought Yan Beihu in. "Kneel." Yan Beihu knelt, shouting angrily, "I refuse to accept this. Treacherous plans made by treacherous bastards. What dirty tricks. Sun Sa. You bastard. Your dad didn't even dare to stand up straight when speaking in my presence, you little brute." Sun Sa immediately grew enraged as well, and he roared, "Whip him." His subordinate raised the whip and sent it cracking towards Yan Beihu's face, and the skin on his face immediately split open. Zhou Yu watched, filled with panic, but the more harshly Yan Beihu was whipped, the more he shouted curses. He started with Sun Jian, before moving to cursing out the Sun family ancestors. That attracted a crowd of citizens outside the prefect's manor, all of whom were watching Sun Sa determine Yan Beihu's crimes. "Zigong," Zhou Yu said quietly. Sun Sa was still overwhelmed with anger, but just as he was about to have Yan Beihu pushed outside and beheaded, Zhou Yu's gaze stopped him. "You want me to spare his life?" Sun Sa asked. "You must," Zhou Yu replied. "Though this person is a bandit, the worst of the crimes he has committed are nothing more than robbing households and gathering strong young men to rebel against the imperial court." Sun Sa protested. "I am the Polu general." "I know," Zhou Yu said, frowning. "Spare his life first." "No way." Sun Sa said with a wave of his hand. "Absolutely out of the question. Even with Su Gong's life, I went with your wishes." Zhou Yu's face darkened. "In the end," he said, "then Zigong, do as you see fit." Yan Beihu was still kneeling in the hall, his mouth spewing dirty curses. Sun Sa looked at him, then at Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu's face was a little red, and even the breaths he was exhaling were hot. His forehead was boiling. Forget it," Sun Sa said, finding this a little boring. "I salute you for being a true man. Rise, loosen his ropes." Yan Beihu was taken aback. "You're not killing me." "If it were my father here today instead," Sun Sa said, "he would not leave your head on your shoulders." "But I am not my father." After Sun Sa said that, he rose and left. The rain stopped, and sunlight shone down brightly on Wuxian. Leaves and branches were studded with gem-like drops of water. Almost half of the prefect's manor had collapsed, but the back gardens and the side rooms were intact. Sun Sa tossed everything related to the cleanup to Zhu Ji for him to handle, while he himself, his torso bare, practiced his staff techniques in the garden. His moves sent red petals scattering all across the ground, and amidst the swooshing sounds the staff made, everywhere it traveled, petals flew into the air. "Entering Wuxian today means that you cannot kill a single person," Zhou Yu said, walking through the corridor and taking a seat on a stone stool in front of the corridor. "Only by leaving Yan Beihu alive will the heroes of Jiangdong come to pledge their allegiance to you." Sun Sa didn't speak, he simply continued with his staff techniques. Zhou Yu continued, "The money that Su Gong hid, I already helped you distribute amongst the citizens." Sun Sa pulled his staff up into a resting position, before saying, "The money isn't that important. If I don't kill even one person, how will I establish my reputation?" "Not killing people," Zhou Yu said earnestly, "is the best way to establish your reputation." "Then what about my subordinates who died outside the city gates, do they count?" Sun Sa asked. "I used anesthetic arrows, but what Su Gong's subordinates used were real blades and swords." "Did you calculate how many casualties there were?" 47 people, Zhou Yu replied. "For a troop of over 10,000 to lose just these few, that can already be counted as a total victory." Sun Sa said, "Yan Beihu and my dad rebelled at the same time. If this bastard isn't gotten rid of now, he will definitely cause great trouble in the future. If he wreaks havoc in the future, then we must get rid of him then," Zhou Yu said patiently. "To be a Zigong, you must figure out a way to subdue him. You cannot kill anyone who looks disagreeable to you." I know that your dad has always been like this, but you. Sun Sa put his weapon back and walked away. Zhou Yu's mind spun with dizziness, and he rubbed his temples. His shoulder wound was still throbbing a little. He pushed open the door to a room and staggered in, and without the energy to figure out whose this was, he fell asleep as soon as his head hit the pillow, truly unable to hold out any longer. After sleeping for who knows how long, he heard Sun Sa's voice, as well as a woman's. Zhou Yu felt dizzy and disoriented. He wanted to open his eyes and say a few words to Sun Sa, only to hear him ask, concerned, "How come you're ill?" "Let me." That lady's voice was very warm. After she spoke, there came the sound of water being wrung from a cloth, and an icy cold towel was laid across his forehead. Their footsteps receded into the distance. Zhou Yu's sleep had lasted a whole day and 2 nights, and in that period of time, he smelled the scent of medicine, as if someone was stewing medicine outside in the corridor. After that, a pair of slender hands supported the back of his neck, helping him sit up and feeding him medicine. In his hazy moment of consciousness, Zhou Yu opened his eyes and glanced at her, and he thought that she looked very familiar. After that, he went back to sleep. It wasn't until the sunlight came streaming and Zhou Yu's fever had receded that he let out a sigh, sitting up, his face sheet white, only to find that someone had changed his robes for a set of clean ones. He remembered that when he had been feverish, the one that was taking care of him had been a girl. Then these robes. Zhou Yu hurriedly pulled at his robes to see the inner layer inside, only to see that he was completely naked inside, not even wearing a set of inner robes. Feeling extremely embarrassed, he rose hastily from the bed, only to stumble again. "Zhou Lang has woken," a woman's voice asked gently from outside the door. Yes, indeed," Zhou Yu said, his face red to the tips of his ears. "Thank you, madam, for your trouble. It was General Sun who wiped your body down for you and changed your clothes," the young lady chuckled. "He asked that after you woke, for you to go to the main hall." Zhou Yu looked as if he didn't want to bear witness to anything that happened after this, saying, "Thank you." He figured that this was a serving girl in Su Gong's manner, so Zhou Yu didn't think too much of it as he tied the sash of his robes and headed to the main hall. Along the way, he saw that the soldiers had already finished repairing the prefect's manor, and were hanging lanterns with the single character Sun on it. That was probably because Sun Sa was treating this place as his own, preparing to take someone else's home for his own. Zhou Yu stood outside the second door that led to the main courtyard and watched for a while, before saying, "Move it a little to the left." The soldier bowed and did as he was told, then hung the other set up. When Zhou Yu looked, he saw that they had the Zhou character written on them, and he couldn't help but find that funny. He originally thought that only Sun Sa was there, but he hadn't expected that when he walked into the hall, there were 2 elders sitting there along with a young woman. The young woman was currently pouring wine for one of the elders. "You're awake?" Sun Sa asked, smiling. "Come, let me introduce you, this individual is Zhang Zhao, Lord Zibu." Zhou Yu went forward and greeted him in the manner of a junior greeting their senior. Zhang Zhao hurried to cup his hands as well, saying, I dare not, this humble one and Lord Zhou were both officials of the imperial court. This foolish brother is simply several years older, so please let us refer to each other as peers. I have long since heard of Gongjin's good name, but hearing 100 rumors cannot compare with a single look. Being able to meet you in person today is truly an honor. Zhou Yu replied, for Zhang Xiang to finally give up on Taoqian and head south is a blessing for Zigong. 3 people in the hall all laughed loudly at that, and Sun Sa continued. This is Elder Qiao. You 2 are already old acquaintances. This is one of Elder Qiao's beloved daughters, Qiao Gunyang. That girl named Qiao Gunyang raised her eyes and glanced at Zhou Yu. The 2 of them looked at each other, and Zhou Yu couldn't decide whether he should cry or laugh. This was the person wielding the white silk on the night the prefect's manor caught fire, the one who had pursued Zhou Yu. The other person was Jiao Xian, and upon hearing Sun Sa had gained Wu Commandery, he had come specially to pay him a formal visit. It just so happened that a year ago, Jiao Xian and Su Gong had visited Yuan Shu, and after that, his daughter had remained as a visitor in Su Gong's manor. Zhou Yu thought to himself, thankfully we didn't kill him then, otherwise things would be very troublesome now. Zhou Yu took a seat, and Jiao Xian then introduced a pair of twin daughters of his. One of them was named Xiao Jiao, who was the one who had stewed medicine for Zhou Yu some days ago. Zhou Yu hurried to give his thanks repeatedly, saying that he had caused the two of them quite a lot of trouble. How is the situation in Suzhou? Zhou Yu asked upon sitting down again. Xiao Jiao carried some plain porridge over, and Zhou Yu hurried to thank her profusely once more. He had heard of Zhang Zhao before, and rumor had it that Zhang Zhao was a student of the great scholar Beihao Ziyan. When he was young, he had attended the Xiaolian, but because Beihao Ziyan's personality was outspoken and honest, and he spoke frankly, he managed to offend a lot of people. Lu Ji, Tao Qian, and the rest of them had all cast him out. Later, because of the difficulties that Zhang Zhao's master's teachings had caused him, he disobeyed the Suzhou governor Tao Qian with his words alone. Tao Qian locked him up, and it hadn't been until recently that he had been freed. The north is still entrenched in battle, Zhang Zhao said, stroking his beard. The scholars have all headed south, and it is not easy for even the common people to make a living. A few years ago, So Song wanted to head south to avoid the disaster as well, but he hadn't thought that in passing by Suzhou, Tao Qian would come after him instead. Almost all of the 12 people in his family became ghosts that were wrongfully murdered under his blade. So Song, Sun Sa said, frowning. Why is this name so familiar? Zhou Yu replied, he is the father of the captain of the cavalry So Sa. He's So Pi's grandfather. Sun Sa's expression changed as he remembered, and he couldn't resist sighing about what a pity that was. More or less, the two of them had had some dealings with the Cao family before, and they hadn't expected that they would befall such a tragedy as having their family wiped out. With Cao Ca's temperament, who knows how he would repay Tao Qian for that. As of now, Wuxian is already in my hands, Sun Sa said. That leaves only Luxian and Hin. This is an initial foothold for us, and in the next few days, this is a good chance to discuss with Gongjin and Elder Qiao about what to do next. I hope that Zhang Xiang can provide a few pointers. Zhou Yu drank a mouthful of that plain porridge instead of involving himself in their discussion. He lifted his chopsticks, picked up a bit of some side dishes, and put it in his bowl. Temper justice with mercy, Zhang Zhao said solemnly after thinking for a while. Since Zigong has already established a foothold with conquering the Wu Commandery, then I imagine that in the short term, there won't be a lack of rations for the army. According to the news I've gained, Yuan Shu will declare himself emperor soon. Chang'an has fallen into internal strife, as father and son, Dong Zhou and Lu Bu, have had differences in opinions, and they are probably not able to spare any effort to govern this place. Yuan Shao has his troops stationed in Jizhu, Zhou Yu added mildly. The only place trouble can come from is from him, but with Yuan Shu in Shaochun, he shouldn't be an issue. Exactly, Zhang Zhao said. The next step is to head south. Sun Sa asked, what does Zhang Xiang think about expelling Lu Biao as fast as possible and taking Jingzhou? Zhou Yu thought, you actually still haven't forgotten about this matter. That's truly not an easy accomplishment for you. Zhang Zhao replied unhappily, Jingzhou is a location that will inevitably be fought over by the military clans. How can we send troops out rashly? Sun Sa hurried to agree with that, and Zhou Yu thought, finally his urge to seek revenge has been dispelled. He had to thank Zhang Zhao for that, otherwise Sun Sa would not have let this matter go at all. Yuhang, Fukun, Kuiji, and such are all in the south, Zhang Zhao said. These places must be taken care of as quickly as possible, while Yuan Shu is unable to leave his current spot. Jiangdong has been taken over by the aristocrats, Zhou Yu said, shaking his head. It will be difficult to invade successfully. One word, kill. Zhang Zhao made a beheading motion with his hand as he held Sun Sa's gaze. As of today, the power of the officials of the imperial court stems from a complicated web of relations. Even amongst Wuxian, Daniang, Liang, and the like, each of them has their own local officials. Zhou Yu frowned faintly, but Zhang Zhao did not discover that change in Zhou Yu's expression as he continued talking to Sun Sa. Daniang and Liang have your relatives there, so entering will not be too difficult. But the further south you go, these governors will have to be dealt with sooner rather than later. Leaving one in their position means one more trouble to deal with later, Zhang Zhao added. Sun Sa glanced at Zhou Yu, the meaning in his eyes clear beyond a doubt. I told you so. Zhou Yu said in response, the governors have had orders to guard their territories for a long time, and if they do not come from famous teachers, it is difficult for them to avoid being reprimanded by the court. Zhang Zhao replied, that's why we must treat the citizens with great kindness. If we spread mercy broadly and only kill a few people, there is no harm in leaving those who wish to submit a petition for the emperor to abdicate, like Su Gong. If they are not willing to cooperate with Zigong, then naturally all that awaits them is the business end of a blade. Sun Sa nodded, smiling. Zhou Yu knew that with him here, it was difficult for Sun Sa to speak freely, so he didn't say anything in response. There was logic in what Zhang Zhao said, and not all of it went with what Sun Sa wished. If he set aside his own attachments and expanded territory by territory, killing all of those who didn't hand over their power and placing his own men there instead, that was naturally a very good way to deal with them. But Zhou Yu kept worrying that if they acted too harshly, it would be easy for the aristocrats of the region to fight back. Zhou Yu did not pass any judgment on Zhang Zhao's plan. After finishing his porridge, he left his seat and took his leave. In the night, he and Xiao Xian sat down to face each other in chess. Gongjin, ah. Zhou Yu placed a piece on the board. Xiao Xian held a piece and tapped it against the board. This old man has something to say, but I'm not sure if it is proper. Elder Xiao, please speak freely. Xiao Xian said, the Battle of Wu Commandery was fought beautifully. Zhou Yu nodded. Today afternoon, the aristocrats from the north side came to pledge their allegiance, and they've all been settled in the manor already. I saw. Zhou Yu turned, brightening the lamp a little. Xiao Xian continued, you and General Sun may be childhood friends, but sometimes, you should let him have his way a little. N. Zhou Yu nodded again. Xiao Xian finished with, as long as you don't find this old man's ramblings annoying, that's fine. Zhou Yu smiled and replied, I also feel that way. What Zhang Zibu said is reasonable, it's just that I am naturally prone to indecision and hesitance, so I always want to satisfy both sides in everything I do. There are many things in this world that I cannot take care of on my own, Zhou Yu said, sighing. I'm not suited for leading an army, I can only direct them. The number of people coming to swear their allegiance have increased as well, so no matter what schemes, there will always be strategists who can come up with something better. Originally, I also thought about staying out of it, but since he asked me, I helped him think of some. I have not said a single word beyond that. Xiao Xian ed, a bit of approval in his gaze. That night, when Zhou Yu passed by the main hall of the manor, he saw that the hall was brightly lit, and Sun Sa was currently holding a banquet for his guests. The number of people that came increased day by day, and the manor grew livelier and livelier. So Sa and Yuan Shu had been at odds for long, and the aristocrats had fled south. After entering the Wu Commandery, they all came first to greet Sun Sa. Since Zhou Yu was living in the manor, he felt that this was a little too much for him. He originally wanted to go back to Shu County to check on the naval troops, and also because he didn't know how the situation was with Lu Zijing. A few days later, when the cold spring turned warm, the entire courtyard was filled with splendid peach blossoms. Zhou Yu had found a qin in his room, and he plucked out a song. Xiao Jiao just so happened to be passing by, and she asked outside, "Is Zhou Lang in low spirits today?" "Ah, did you notice?" Zhou Yu said. "This gene has sat around for too long, and one of the strings has grown old. When I get to that point in the song, the sound does shake a little." Xiao Jiao rolled up her sleeves, saying, "Zhizhou was asking if the old wound on your shoulder is a little better." "I thank her for her concern," Zhou Yu replied. "It is basically healed." Xiao Jiao continued, "On the mountain behind the manor, there is a hot spring. If the wound has scabbed over, you can go there to soak for a while. The waters of the hot spring are warm, and are effective for healing wounds." Zhou Yu thanked her, and Xiao Jiao left. Fei brought back a letter from Lu Su. Zhou Yu was wondering, he hadn't gone back to Shu County on his own, so how had Fei gone on its own to find Lu Su? It was only after untying the letter and reading it that he learned Sun Sa had written a letter several days ago to invite Lu Su under his command. He told him that after he finished dealing with matters, that he should come swiftly to Wu County to meet with Sun Sa in person. Lu Su's letter also mentioned that Sun Sa had asked his mother and his brother to come to Wu Commandery. This was something that even Zhou Yu didn't know about, but he figured it was probably because Sun Sa was planning to relocate his family. But Lady Wu was not willing to come, she was more willing to remain in Shu County, and she had Lu Su bring Sun Quan down south. On his end, Zhou Yu wanted to go home to take a look, but Lu Su was about to arrive here instead, so he had no choice. Returning would not do, but not returning would also not do, so he could only take the letter to go find Sun Sa. Sun Sa was currently chatting with a group of aristocrats, his entire face beaming with joy. He was even making jokes at Zhang Zhao's expense, and Zhang Zhao sat there with a wooden expression, while everyone laughed again. Zhou Yu smiled, and he knocked on the door frame. Come, Gongjin." Sun Sa exclaimed. "Come chat for a bit, let me pour you a cup." The group of aristocrats nodded, all saying that they had long since heard of Zhou Yu's name. Probably, while Zhou Yu wasn't there, Sun Sa had already praised him to the moon and back. Zhou Yu, however, didn't take the wine cup. He replied, "My wound has not yet healed, so I cannot have any." "Our family's Gongjin," Sun Sa said, "is well versed in medicine, and he's basically cured all my illnesses. He has a doctor's temper and a doctor's skill, and even if you don't give in, he'll hold you down until you do." Everyone laughed at that. Sun Sa continued, "They all say that a doctor has the heart of a parent, and Gongjin has treated me even more severely than my mother." These words caused another bout of laughter, and after such a recommendation, Zhou Yu made his acquaintance with the group of people in the hall. Many of them were aristocrats that had come down south from the north, and on top of those was also Lu Fan, Zhang Hong, Zhou Fang, and the rest. They were all famous aristocrats of the time. Zhou Yu made his greetings, before handing the letter to Sun Sa. "Whose?" Sun Sa asked. "A letter from home," Zhou Yu replied. "Lu Zijing sent it?" "I hear that the naval troops under General Sun's command can split the Jing River between them and Lu Biao," Zhang Zhao said. "Very impressive. This is something you'll have to ask Gongjin," Sun Sa replied earnestly. "It was he who trained them." Saying this, he turned to Zhou Yu and continued, "I told Zijing to bring the navy over as well, and they've currently moored the boats in Lake Tai." Zhou Yu nodded and said, "It's up to you. Sun Quan came with him, but your mother said that she's been feeling lazy lately, so she hasn't gone to the effort." "All right," Sun Sa said, nodding. Zhou Yu went to write a letter in response. Sun Sa said, "After you finish writing the letter, come back here." Zhou Yu replied in the affirmative and went back to his room to write the letter. After he finished, someone came to ask Zhou Yu a question. Sun Sa wanted to allot him an estate in the east of the city, and was asking for his opinion. "No need to reward me," Zhou Yu replied. "In such extraordinary times, it's better to spend frugally." This rewarding back and forth, at the end of it, was just their own money. When he thought about it this way, Zhou Yu felt that this was very unassuming. The spring rains of this year were very delayed, and aside from the few short showers in the second month, there was a severe drought at the end of the month. He didn't go back to the hall to give that group of advisors obsequious smiles either. After he wrote the letter and sent Fei flying off, he put on his wooden clogs, circled around the back of the manor on a small path, and headed up the mountain. There was indeed a hot spring on the mountain, but he didn't know if Diqiao and Xiaoqiao had come before. The hot spring was tucked away, and there was also someone standing guard. After Zhou Yu asked, he learned that Sun Sa had had this place closed off to outsiders, so he went into the karst cavern, hanging his robes on a stalagmite at the entrance to the cavern, signaling to anyone else that someone was already inside. He then went inside on his own to soak. The waters of the hot spring were hot, and when they touched his wound, they brought with them a stinging pain. Zhou Yu let out a sigh, his hair loose and unbound, and he leaned up against the side of the pool, his arms propped up along the bank. The stone stalactites around him dripped with water, letting out light plink-plunk sound. The chaotic voices of the prefect's manor seemed to echo in his ear. That pleased expression of Sun Sa's was one that Zhou Yu could not be more familiar with. That was a him that Zhou Yu recognized, yet it was not him anymore. When he thought back, Sun Sa seemed to act like this to everyone, not solely to Zhou Yu. Aside from that period of time when Sun Jian had died on the battlefield, Sun Sa had never not smiled. His smile was able to immediately brighten up the entire dark and gloomy world, and it could also make people follow him willingly. Every time someone spoke, Sun Sa would always look into the other's eyes, a smile in his gaze. It served as praise, but it also served as a way to ask for advice with his mind open to new ideas. In our future realm, there will be you, there will be me. Did he truly think that? Zhou Yu let out a long sigh. But wasn't this the best outcome? All this time he had been waiting for such a day to come for Sun Sa, where everyone followed him wholeheartedly and willingly, and his court was filled with famous warriors and his army filled with brave soldiers. As of today, in this turbulent world, he could already hold his own. This was what Zhou Yu wanted, yet it was also not what he wanted. End chapter. Twin Jades of Jiangdong. Chapter 24. Hot Springs. From the distance came a quiet tap. It was followed by the sound of scuffling. Zhou Yu, his eyes closed, soaked in the water. He heard the soldiers outside say General Sun, and Sun Sa Ned in reply. Sun Sa, his feet bare, stepped into the cavern, treading on those damp rocks, saying, "Hey." Zhou Yu kept his eyes shut as he replied, "What are you here for?" Sun Sa said in reply, "What are you here for? I told you to go eat dinner in the hall, but when I went to go search you out to chat, I couldn't find you." Zhou Yu didn't reply. Sun Sa stood in the steam, saying, "Hey, this is a good spot, you really do know how to enjoy life." Zhou Yu opened his eyes, watching Sun Sa. Sun Sa's back and shoulders were broad, and his chest was sturdy. The lines of his abdominal muscles were clearly defined, and his limbs were long and filled with strength. In Zhou Yu's memories, Sun Sa had always been that youth, with inner robes paler than snow, who had wandered the underground lake under Mount Gu, but now that they were seeing each other fully naked, Zhou Yu couldn't resist glancing at him a few more times. The steam had caused a layer of sweat to break out over Sun Sa's body, and minute beads of sweat had appeared on his muscular flesh, as if his skin had been coated with a layer of oil. He reached down casually and wiped his abdomen, before rubbing his hand along the back of his own neck. When he noticed that Zhou Yu was watching him, Sun Sa's gaze traveled downwards, and he said, "What are you looking at? You don't have one." Zhou Yu began to chuckle. "I really haven't taken note of it before," he said. "Your scent is a little clearer than your muscles." Sun Sa walked into the water, asking amusedly, "My scent?" The two of them each sat on one side. Zhou Yu continued lazily, "The scent of your cleanly washed clothes, your shirts, your inner robes, and the smell from your neck." The two of them had often slept on the same bed. The feeling of their feet pressed against each other's and rubbing, as well as the scent of a man's skin that the other gave off, both had left a deep impression on Zhou Yu. Sun Sa raised a foot and left it between Zhou Yu's legs, saying, "You're angry." Zhou Yu also lifted a foot and pressed it against Sun Sa's chest, moving to kick him into the water. Sun Sa, however, raised his foot and hooked it, sending Zhou Yu off balance. Sun Sa hurriedly grabbed him and had him sit firm. "You're angry," Sun Sa said. The two of them sat, facing each other. Zhou Yu was so warm that his face was flushed red. Sun Sa looked into his eyes before saying, "Boring." "Oh well," Zhou Yu said. "I'm not angry, I swear." Sun Sa put his hand on his knee, and Zhou Yu crossed his legs as he sat opposite him. The two of them were quiet for a moment, before Sun Sa said, suddenly, "I feel like it's pretty dull." "You did pretty well," Zhou Yu replied. Sun Sa protested, "I haven't figured out a way to give you a home to settle down in yet." Zhou Yu said in response, "I had Lu Zijing bring 1,000 liang of gold. He's already on the way. That's more than enough for you to spend. How much is left from last time?" Sun Sa replied, "There's not much more in the storehouse." Zhou Yu said, "Wait a few days, I'll stay in the manor for now." Sun Sa seemed to feel a little guilty, as he kept asking Zhou Yu for money. He let out another long breath. "Wash my back," Zhou Yu said. 1,000 liang per round. Sun Sa began to smile, and he rubbed his hands together, before beginning to wipe Zhou Yu's hands and feet for him. The pressure he was putting in was just right, and Zhou Yu felt very comfortable, feeling as if every part of him had been taken good care of. "Turn around," Sun Sa said. "Lean against me." At that, Zhou Yu turned around, leaning with his back against Sun Sa's chest. Sun Sa's fingers massaged behind his ears, before moving down his neck. "Elder Chiao said that he'd marry his daughters to us," Sun Sa said. "He wanted me to ask your opinion on that." Zhou Yu's breaths were a little shaky from the comfort he felt from that massage. With his eyes closed, he said, "Go marry one yourself." Sun Sa asked in return, "You're not marrying?" Zhou Yu said, "I don't understand how to marry someone." Sun Sa, "Let me teach you, then you'll understand." Zhou Yu let out a long breath. The steam of the pool reflected in his eyes, along with the damp, barely visible droplets of water on the walls of the cavern. Twilight just so happened to be falling, and the light of the setting sun shone in from the mouth of the cavern, lighting up the water of the hot spring, which rippled as it spread, turning into faint clouds that covered up the light of the setting sun. Just like how, many years later at Chibi, that great fire would split open the earth and set the sky ablaze. After their bath, the mountains were covered in smoky rain, and the spring fog was wet and heavy. Zhou Yu and Sun Sa, their hair wet and unbound, walked back to the prefectural manor together, side by side. Zhou Yu's face was slightly red, and Sun Sa had his arm slung over Zhou Yu's shoulders as he swaggered back. The palm that was wrapped around Zhou Yu's shoulder tightened a little. Neither of them spoke. The birds chirped overhead as they flew through the darkened, gloomy sky. "What do you think of Zhangzhou?" Sun Sa asked. Zhou Yu thought for a moment, before replying, "Forceful but straightforward, prudent and conservative. He can be used to run the army." "What about Lu Zijing?" Sun Sa asked. Zhou Yu replied, "He understands people, and can be used to govern men." "What about Zhang Hong?" "Brilliant and witty, a paragon of talent. He can be used to compose letters and essays," Zhou Yu replied candidly. Sun Sa, "What about Cheng Pu, Huang Gai, Zhu Ji, Ling So, and the rest of them?" "Cheng Pu is fierce and decisive, and can serve as the vanguard," Zhou Yu replied easily. Huang Gai is old but fiery, and is well versed in reading the battlefield. He serves well for both advancing and retreating, and he is not overly hasty to act, instead acting clearly and logically. He would do well with commanding the main army. Zhu Ji is kind and sincere, and chooses quiet over action. He will serve well guarding a city. Ling So is very able, and is a powerful martial artist, yet he is prideful and does not cooperate well with others. He can lead his own army. You can trust him with full command of his army. Then what about Zhou Gongjin? Sun Ce asked, smiling happily as he watched Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu walked down the stone slab path, returning to the garden. Zhou Gongjin, Zhou Yu replied, is irresolute and indecisive. He is extremely petty, and must not be trusted with any important task. Sun Ce laughed loudly, but Zhou Yu continued, mock seriously, what talents does that bastard Zhou Yu have? He's rich, that's all. What about Sun Bafu? Sun Ce asked once more, willing his face back to solemnity. Zhou Yu replied, careless and frivolous. His words do not match his thoughts, and he is shrewd but subtle. He's insidious. Sun Ce simply felt that was very amusing, and he grabbed Zhou Yu's hand, tugging him towards the main hall. In the coming days, if I truly am able to accomplish something great, only you will know how careless and frivolous I have been these past years. There are no heroes amongst those of the same generation, Zhou Yu replied mildly. You only learned this now. Sun Ce, still holding Zhou Yu's hand, returned to the hall. The entire hall was filled with people, wine, and food laid out at the ready on their tables, yet no one had touched their chopsticks. They had all been waiting for Sun Ce and Zhou Yu. Like a jade tree in the wind, Sun Ce strode, completely calm, into the hall, smiling as he said, thank you for waiting. It was completely out of Zhou Yu's expectations that everyone was waiting for him so they could start eating. He felt a bit embarrassed, and he smiled as he said, please forgive me, I forgot the time. Everyone in the hall began to chuckle, and they hurried to reply with no worries, no worries. In these past few days, just from watching Zhou Yu and Sun Ce, anyone with eyes knew that their relationship was profound. Many times, when Sun Ce clashed with Zhou Yu, Sun Ce couldn't fight back against his words. Plus, since Zhou Yu rarely appeared, and when he did he hardly spoke, he seemed even more mysterious to them. This was the first time that Zhou Yu was openly taking a seat with the advisors that Sun Ce had gathered. Compared to when they were interacting with Sun Ce, the group grew even more restrained than they had been. The banquet was filled with toasts and chatter, but all they spoke of were matters related to the current state of affairs in Wu County. Zhang Zhao, Zhang Hong, and the rest of them had made private inquiries, and had learned that Zhou Yu was the biggest financial backer for Sun Ce at the moment. The Zhou family had amassed a fortune for several generations, and with not only a large clan but also a large amount of troops under their command, no one dared to treat Zhou Yu impolitely. Zhou Yu's anger had just about dissipated as well, and as the banquet was filled with chatter and laughter, he didn't hold himself back. Very quickly, he had been accepted into the group of advisors. He and Sun Ce sat at the head table, their two low tables placed in a row. Filling their wine cups, adding more food, and such matters were all done by him, so it was evident that the two of them were close. The rain has been falling unbroken, Zhang Hao chuckled. Though I can't say it causes a sense of idleness. Lu Fan continued, though this place is rich in fish and rice, it cannot compare with Shu County, where the mulberries fill the fields, nor can it compare with the scenery of Mount Gu and Lake Chao. Wu Commandery has its own good points, Zhou Yu smiled, addressing that line to the literati of several of the Wu Commandery clans that were present. Wu Commandery has an air of magnificence about it, and many merchants pass through here. Naturally, it is somewhere that Huanan cannot hope to compare to. Zhang Zhao continued, I asked Zigong before, after we moved into the estate, why there was a kite hanging in the hall. Zhou Yu startled at that, and Sun Sa looked back. Zhou Yu's eyes followed his gaze, and he suddenly found himself in an awkward position where neither laughter nor tears were appropriate. In the hall, there hung a kite that they had played with before, and its colors had already faded. "Why'd you even bring this out to hang?" Sun Sa laughed, "Hi hey," saying to the gathered group, "Shu County is a good land. When I was small, I often thought of that place, and when I grow old, perhaps I'll even end up living out the rest of my life by the banks of Lake Chao." Saying this, Sun Sa went back to teasing Zhou Yu. "I found a beat-up chain from the previous dynasty in the backyard. When should I have it brought over so we can hear it? I hear your melodic sense is the best." Zhou Yu let out a non-committal woo. Sun Sa continued, "Later, if this burden can be passed on, I'll go rowing boats, flying kites, and listening to the sound of a chain at the foot of Mount Gu, with no other thoughts in my mind." "Shu County is famous for its silk," Zhang Hong continued. "Though Lake Chao is not as large as Lake Tai, its scenery is very beautiful." "Exactly." When Zhou Yu heard praise for his homeland, he felt pretty happy inside, so he nodded, smiling, before elaborating on some of the amusing stories from his childhood. In the span of a single meal, the guests and the hosts were all kept entertained, and the story traveled from Shu County to Jiangdong, then to the Central Plains. Without even batting an eye, Zhou Yu led the topic towards the lives of the people, and battle stratagems. Though it seemed to be idle talk, what he was actually testing were the qualifications of these advisors. Sun Sa simply smiled and listened, not speaking. Once in a while, a serious emotion would flash through his eyes, but he did not say anything from start to finish. As the meal drew to a close, the questions that Zhou Yu were asking was something that many people could no longer answer. Only Zhang Hong was still thinking about them earnestly, mulling over them with every word and sentence of his. "The Wu troops are not as ferocious as the troops of Sai Wai," Zhang Hong said in the end. "It would be better to develop their strengths to cover their weaknesses." Zhou Yu replied, "Not necessarily. The sons of Jiangdong have resounded through history. In the past, the hegemon raised an army in Wujiang, and his territory was the region of Jiangdong, from where he began to encroach on the rest of the world." "Good." Sun Sa cheered. The entire hall of people all roused at that, not expecting Zhou Yu to hold such lofty ambitions. Zhang Hong, however, did not argue back, nor did he express his agreement. He simply smiled, nodded, and stroked his beard. Zhou Yu continued, "At the moment, the thing that has me the most stumped is who should command the Liang troops, the Danyang troops, and the Wu troops." Zhang Hong said, "If you hand them to me, I will organize them into 3 armies. That will not be difficult." "How would you organize them?" Zhou Yu asked. Zhang Hong replied, "They should not be thrown into disarray by rearrangement, and instead, members should be selected and promoted from within their own ranks. The troops under Zigong's command will be split into 3 divisions. The first rank will be his personal troops. Personal troops will be chosen for their prowess and resourcefulness, and organized in first, second, and third ranks, and so on. If any man from a lower rank achieves a significant military accomplishment, he can be promoted into the ranks of the personal troops." This was a pretty good plan. What Zhou Yu had been thinking in recent days was nothing more than to break up the troops and reorganize them into new squads, so that Sun Sa could command them as he would his own hand. However, Sun Sa was the kind of leader to charge at the head of his men, and with his kind of fighting style, he would undoubtedly inspire his men. But no matter what, Zhou Yu still didn't wish for Sun Sa to charge too far ahead in every battle. "Zhang Xiang's plan is excellent," Sun Sa said. "Let me make the arrangements, and I will hand the men over to Zhang Xiang to organize." "I am happy to share some of Zigong's burdens," Zhang Hong replied. Just then, Fei swiftly shot in, flapping its wings. Immediately, the wine on the table went flying, spilling all over the table. Everyone was startled at that, but Sun Sa merely smiled and said, "This is a courier from my army." Zhou Yu undid the cloth strip on Fei Yu's leg, and as soon as he glanced at it, his expression immediately changed. Lu Bu assassinated Dongzhou, and escaped from Chang'an the same night. Li Ju and Guo Si have already led their troops back into the city, slaughtering Wang Yun and the rest. The emperor's whereabouts are unknown. The advisors of Yuan Shu of Shaochun have submitted a joint petition, requesting Yuan Shu to proclaim himself the emperor. In that moment, the entire hall fell deathly silent. During the second gang, Sun Sa's study was lit with lamps. Zhou Yu had drunk a little wine, and though his expression was serious, there was a faint hint of a red flush on his face. A map had been pasted up on the wall, on which had been sketched a map of the Central Plains and the region of Chang'an. Several lines were leading from Chang'an, showing the movements of the armies of the various factions. "So Sa is heading from east to west," Zhou Yu said, marking that out with a cinnabar-dipped brush. "He has set out from Yuchun to Chang'an." After Lu Bu escaped from Chang'an, he retreated towards Suzhou. Yuan Shao intercepted him on the way, sending his troops out from Xiapi. The news had come far too quickly, catching them off guard. The news from Chang'an had traveled to Shaochun, and as soon as Huang Gai had learned of it, he immediately sent Fei Yu out to notify Sun Sa. At this moment, the entire world had once again sunk into a pool of mud. The emperor was missing, and numerous heroes were rising again. This time, the situation was even more grim than when the various marquises had allied together to launch the campaign against Dongzhou. "So Sa should be heading to Chang'an," Sun Sa said. "He wants to abduct the emperor. Zhou Yu, let's put aside the issue of if he'll be able to even find the emperor. In a few short months, it will be impossible to avoid chaos. After Yuan Shu declares himself emperor, who do you think the first person that he'll want to get rid of is?" "Tao Qian and the rest of them," Sun Sa said after a moment's thought. "Probably for an alliance, otherwise Yuan Shu will have to mobilize his troops to get rid of him. Ally with distant foes and attack close ones, and form a union that stretches from north to south. That has always been the case throughout history. The first that he probably wants to get rid of, my guess is Cao Sa." Zhou Yu had drunk some wine, and he was not yet fully sober. Sun Sa had the servants bring tea over so that Zhou Yu could rouse himself from the effects of the alcohol. At the latest, in 3 days, Zhou Yu predicted, Yuan Shu's order to mobilize will arrive here. "We must choose a side, otherwise our troubles will only increase." Zhou Yu let out a long sigh. Sun Sa was frowning heavily as he replied, "We have to pick now, this is much earlier than what I anticipated." "There's no choice," Zhou Yu replied. "One faction has Yuan Shu at their head, while the other has Yuan Shao. In the short term, it is inevitable that the two brothers of the Yuan clan will clash." Sun Sa said, "Yuan Shu is very bad at retaining his composure, and his prospects are worrying. If these two brothers start fighting, what do you think the outcome will be?" "The regions of Jing and Yi, along with the entirety of Jiangdong," Zhou Yu said, "will be our short-term goal." Zhou Yu stood in front of the man, gesturing for Sun Sa to look at it, before saying, "In the end, the world will end up being split amongst many groups. After Yuan Shu falls, Yuan Shao will overtake Jizhu and the surrounding lands, as well as the entirety of Yuzhu. So Sa, if he is able to find the emperor, will take over Chang'an. He will reorganize the men in his hand, and he will be able to hold his own territory. With that, in the future, this will turn into a situation where 3 armies have split the world," Zhou Yu said. "We will conquer Jingzhou and Yizhu, as well as Jiangdong. Yuan Shao will occupy Jizhu and Yuzhu, while So Sa will occupy Salai, as well as Bingzhou and Liangzhou. How long will that take?" Sun Sa asked, as if he was thinking of the same thing. "At least 10 years, Zhou Yu replied, his forehead furrowed deeply. "We must not act hastily in the near future, not before we pacify one of those regions first. Whether it would be better to ally with Yuan Shao or Yuan Shu, Zhou Yu continued, at such a time, is something that you must already have a plan for. I want to hear your thoughts. Sun Sa sat down, his legs sprawled, his hands hanging down in between his legs as he watched the dark night sky outside and the water dripping down from the eaves. Zhou Yu only replied, this is a decision that I cannot make for you. You are the Zigong. You can't even talk about it? Sun Sa chuckled, glancing at Zhou Yu. Wu, Zhou Yu said, shaking his head. That won't do. Sun Sa sank into his thoughts, before musing, allying with Yuan Shu is the most intelligent thing to do. Yuan Shao has great potential, and he will ally with the weak against the strong to buy time for the sake of his own expansion. But as soon as Yuan Shu proclaims himself emperor and manages to free some time, Zhou Yu said, the first thing that he'll do then is to deal with us. In comparison, Yuan Shao's side is one that we have no grudges or debts to. If we can sneak into their alliance and gain the area north of Shaochun, as well as the region of Huanan, that should be our short-term goal. Sun Sa was still pondering, so Zhou Yu didn't disturb him, instead leaving by himself. In the middle of the night, Zhou Yu was very sleepy. He turned over, sensing that Sun Sa had come in again, and was now pressed up against his blankets. I spent the entire night contemplating deeply, yet here you were, sleeping merrily away, Sun Sa said. How are you sharing the burdens of your Zigong? Fuck off, Zhou Yu replied, garbled. When he heard those words, he knew that Sun Sa had already made his decision, and there was no more need to worry. End chapter.